The first time I ever took a solo trip was by accident. It was a trip that was planned with someone who ended up canceling, and I decided not to lose out on all the money I'd spent and go by myself anyways, from Los Angeles to Costa Rica. And it was super, super scary, yes, but it was so incredible and led me to traveling to 13 out of the 52 countries that I've been to solo. And as social media continues to show us incredible places around the world that we didn't know existed, not only do travel numbers in general continue to increase, but so does the number of solo travelers. And as much fun as it is, and in my opinion, it is an experience that everyone should have at least once in their lifetime, it's important to stay safe while exploring alone. So let's kick things off with research and planning. Arguably the cornerstone of successful solo adventure. Before you even pack your bags, it's crucial to dive into thorough research and meticulous planning. Start by diving into the safety aspects of your chosen destination. Familiarize yourself with any potential risks and precautions you need to take. You also need to understand the local customs and cultural norms. Every place has its own set of etiquettes and traditions, and being aware of these can help you navigate unfamiliar territories as easily as possible. Before I headed out on my solo trip to Myanmar, I had to do a ton of research. All my friends were telling me it was super dangerous and I should cancel my trip, so I wanted to make sure I knew what I was getting into. I checked out the safety situation, how women were treated there, what was considered respectful to wear, you name it, I researched it. It's not just about staying safe, it's also about being respectful and fitting in too. Doing that research made me feel way more prepared and confident as I set off on my solo journey to Myanmar. And after going, I can truly tell you that the Burmese people are some of the most friendly I have ever encountered, and I didn't feel unsafe once while I was there. It's still one of my favorite solo trips to this day. All right, now let's talk about something crucial: trusting your instincts. While you're out there solo, your gut feeling becomes your best friend. It's your internal compass guiding you through unfamiliar territory, so trust it, please. If something feels off, it probably is. Maybe it's that creepy vibe you're getting from a stranger, or a situation just doesn't sit right with you. Whatever it is, listen to that inner voice. And when you do spot those red flags, do not ignore them. Take action. Remember, your safety always comes first, always. It's hard to define how to recognize or respond to uncomfortable or unsafe feelings because they're going to be different for everyone based on who you are and the place you're in, who you're surrounded by, all those kinds of things, so many different factors. But there are some common red flags to avoid. One major red flag is being approached by overly persistent or aggressive strangers, especially in isolated or dimly lit areas. In these situations, it's important to maintain your composure and politely but firmly decline any offers or requests and remove yourself from the situation as quickly as possible. Another red flag is feeling like you're being followed or watched. If you sense someone is trailing you, don't hesitate to change your route, head towards a crowded area, or get help from a nearby business. I've always found that hotel staff are usually very helpful if you pop in and ask questions compared to like a small shop owner. You also want to be aware of scams that are targeting tourists specifically, such as overly friendly locals offering to help you carry your bags or give you directions without you even asking. In general, just trust your instincts and exercise caution when dealing with strangers, especially when it involves exchanging money or personal information. Remember, it's always better to err on the side of caution and prioritize your safety above all else. Now let's talk about staying connected, which first off means having a working phone plan. This is crucial to your safety for getting around, using maps, and being able to contact people in case anything does go wrong. For more information on how to use your phone abroad, check out this video. In addition to simply just having a working phone plan abroad, I highly recommend sharing your location indefinitely with family and friends. That way, if anything does go wrong, they can see where you're at and hopefully try to get you some help. And before you leave on your trip, you should also share your itinerary with family and friends so they know where you'll be and when. Include your hotel information so they can always know where you're staying and be able to contact them. And make sure to check in regularly along your trip. Even though I've been traveling for years, my mom always makes me check in, like, boarded my flight to Copenhagen, okay, landed, got to my hotel, here's the address, stuff like that. And I know you don't always stick to your set itinerary, especially when you solo travel, because you might meet friends in your hostel and go travel with them for the day to somewhere that wasn't on your original itinerary, and that's completely okay. But do make sure to update your friends and family on any changes you do make to your itinerary when you're already there, just so they're aware. And one final tip for this section is making sure your phone is always fully charged. So bring a portable charger with you at all times, because when you're traveling. Again, your phone is your safety line, so it's no help to you if it is dead. I love this tiny iWalk charger because it's super small and easy to carry around. Plus, you don't need to bring a cord. You just plug this in directly to your phone, so it's really easy when you're out and about and doing things all day. So if you want more information on this and other travel items that I personally can't live without, check out this video. Next, we're going to talk about why choosing accommodation wisely is essential for solo travel. Opting for reputable hotels, hostels, or accommodations with stellar reviews can significantly enhance your solo travel experience. It's more than just comfort and amenities, which of course are really nice too, but these places usually prioritize security measures, which gives you peace of mind when you're traveling alone. When doing research and trying to find the perfect accommodation, consider things like location, making sure it's in a safe neighborhood with easy access to transportation and amenities. Plus, you really, I can't stress this enough, want to read the guest reviews because you can see the first-hand experience that someone had about the place. Did they feel safe? Was it clean? How did the staff treat them? Reviews and location are by far the most important thing, in my opinion, when traveling and trying to choose your accommodation in general, but especially when you're traveling solo. I also personally prefer staying in hostels when I travel solo. First off, because it saves me money, but honestly the main reason is that it makes me feel more safe to be surrounded by tons of people all the time. So I always aim for a female-only dorm room, preferably with only 4 beds in the room, but sometimes I'll do a 6 bed if that's the only option. So that way I feel safe being in a room with all females, and that's typically how I've made the most friends when I travel solo too, just chatting with the girl in my dorm room and then heading out to explore together. So it makes me feel safe and usually makes me a travel friend, which I consider a win-win. All right, now let's talk about something super crucial when it comes to traveling solo: blending in and showing respect for the local culture. While you're traveling alone, the last thing you want to do is stick out like a sore thumb. Drawing too much attention to yourself can put you in a negative or dangerous situation during your solo travels. So trust me, blending in is gonna make your solo adventure way smoother. You want to take a page out of the locals' book and wear clothing that fits the vibe of the place that you're visiting. Whether it's covering up in more conservative areas or getting rid of your fancy jewelry, dressing appropriately can help you fly under the radar and avoid unnecessary attention. I remember when I visited Morocco with my friend, and we're both just under 6 feet tall. We have blonde hair, green eyes, so it's very easy for us to stick out. We did a lot of research and we were very respectful with our clothing choices. We covered up from shoulders to ankles, and we still got the most insane catcalls and uncomfortable looks, which ended up putting us in a very unsafe situation at the beginning of our trip, which I won't get into, but I can only imagine what the situation would have been like if we hadn't done our research, if I wasn't dressing as conservatively as I was to try to show my respect to the culture. So make sure you always do that research before you go somewhere, especially as a woman, to see what you should or shouldn't wear. And it's not just about what you wear, it's also about how you carry yourself. Show some respect to the local customs and traditions, whether that's greeting people with a smile or brushing up on a few key phrases in the local language. I have an entire video on tips for how to travel somewhere where you don't know the local language, so make sure to check that out. Next, let's talk about keeping your valuables secure. The first thing you want to do is invest in a secure bag, like an anti-theft backpack or a crossbody bag with reinforced straps, zippers, and hidden pockets. Never have a bag that just closes with a button or a flap. It's so easy to get pickpocketed that way. You can also wear a money belt under your clothing to add an extra layer of protection for important documents like your passport and cash and credit cards. I know a lot of people like to take advantage of hotel safes to store valuables like passports, electronics, or extra cash, but I would be really careful and re-emphasize the point I made earlier about accommodation. Make sure you really trust the hotel before you do something like that, because I've heard tons of stories of people getting their stuff stolen from their hotel rooms, even from inside the safes. The main thing to remember about keeping your valuables secure is that discretion is key. So do not flaunt expensive items or flash large amounts of cash in public, because this will attract unwanted attention. When we were traveling around South America, I even watched a video from a vlogger in Colombia who said absolutely do not even bring a fancy camera and take like vlogging style videos in public places in Medellin, because people will follow you back to your hotel and steal your stuff. Once they see a fancy camera, they assume you have other fancy items to steal too. So just be subtle, keep your valuables out of sight as much as you can. Next, let's talk about staying aware of your surroundings. It's essential to always have situational awareness, or for my friends fans out there, unagi, especially in crowded places, public transportation, and tourist hotspots where pickpocketing and scams are more prevalent. Keep an eye on your belongings and be mindful of any suspicious behavior or individuals around you. Like I mentioned earlier, you gotta trust your instincts, and if something feels off, don't hesitate to remove yourself from that situation. When you're using public transportation, it's really easy to get lost in your music or looking at your phone and scrolling and not really paying attention to your surroundings, but you do want to stay alert so you don't get pickpocketed on the bus or the train, or even when you're navigating through a really busy train, metro, or bus station. It's also important to choose well-lit and populated areas to wait for transportation so you're never alone in the dark, because that does make you a very easy target. Another way you can stay aware of your surroundings is by staying sober, which I know to some people is crazy. The reason a lot of people like to travel is to party. For me, it's really easy because I don't like to party or drink, but I will tell you, I've heard so many horror stories of girls getting too drunk, getting attacked, or getting drugged and robbed. It's just tons of things can go wrong when you're drinking alcohol and or doing drugs in a foreign country and you're alone. It just makes you more vulnerable to risky situations. So if you stay sober and clear-headed, you can make better decisions and react effectively to any potential threats that may pop up. So I don't want to scare you. Staying aware of your surroundings does not mean being paranoid, but it's just about being prepared and proactive so you can make sure you're always putting yourself in good situations and staying safe while traveling solo. And if you want to make your solo travels last as long as possible, check out these budget travel tips to help you save as much money as you can so you can travel for longer.